Hey, this is Jeanette with QB Winery Solutions, and I've got a quickie for you today. I'm going to walk you through pulling the reports in QuickBooks Online to answer the financial questions in the Silicon Valley Bank direct-to-consumer wine survey. Now, we've got another video up showing you how to walk through QuickBooks Desktop. So this one is specifically for QuickBooks Online because there are some, not all the reports available that I show in the desktop version. So just to, as a way of introduction, I'm going to be walking through our sample file, and this is set up using our recommended setup, which is called the Fundamental 5. And so these reports are very straightforward if your file is set up using our Fundamental 5. So the first question is, what is your annual case production? So we recommend that you record your bottle runs on a journal entry check. So when you do that, you can run a production report. So we're going to go reports. We're going to come down to, it's actually a purchase. Here it is. It's purchases by product service detail. Now there is no purchases summary report. We can only go with the purchases detail report, but it's fine. It still works. So we'll click on that, and again, the data in my sample files in 2018, you're going to be running this report for last year. 010118, 1, 2, 3. Run report. And so here are the wines that I bottled in 2018. I'm going to come down to the bottom of this report, and I've got a grand total here, right here under quantity. My grand total that I bottled was 33,672. Now this file, we use bottles as the unit of measure, so I need to divide that by 12 to get my 9-liter equivalent number. And if you have your items set up so that your wine SKUs are grouped under, in this case, these are all grouped under wine. This is a straightforward number. You might have to export this to Excel and then get a total in Excel. All right, so that's the first question, your annual case production. Second question is, what is the average suggested retail price of your wine? So to run that report, I am going to go to reports, and that's under sales. So it's right here, sales by product service summary. And I've starred this because I run this report a lot, and when you star a report in QuickBooks Online, it'll put it up in this favorite area. And I really like this particular feature in QuickBooks Online. So this is what the report looks like initially, but this question is specifically asking about the retail price. So we need to filter this for the tasting room class. So I'm going to go customize, I'm going to go filter, I'm going to select class, and then from this class list, I'm going to select, in this file, the class that's associated with my tasting room is called retail. Now you may have a different name. And we're going to run that. And then I'm going to come down, and there is a column for average price, but unfortunately there is not a number on the report itself. So you're going to have to do some math. If you want to export this to Excel, and your average price is going to be your total sales divided by your quantity, and that's going to get you your average bottle price. All right, so our next report is estimate the average wine tasting room purchase in dollars for 2021, and it says they want the total tasting room sales divided by the number of individual sales receipts. So the individual sales receipt, that number you should be able to get very easily from your point of sale program. To get the grand total wine sales dollars, and since they're asking about tasting room, well, that number's right here because we happen to have filtered for the tasting room class. So this is our wine sales dollar amount. But there's another way to get this, and that is to go to a profit and loss report. So your profit and loss report, you're going to find here in business overview, profit and loss, just plain profit and loss. And again, you want to star this because this is sort of a go-to report. And on the profit and loss report, again, I need to run it for 2018. You're going to run it for last year. And I'm also going to display the columns by class. And when I do this, you can see my wine sales on my first row here is $99,372 for my retail class. That exactly matches my detail sales report. So you can get this number in two different ways. All right, the next question on the report is number 19. So you need to read this question carefully. I think it's a trick question, but so the question is, estimate the average per person annual sales for wine club members. So to answer this question, you need to know the total dollar sales to the club, and you also need to know the number of members that took an order. Now, that number changes throughout the year because you have new wine club signups and you have some attrition. So you're just going to have an average between the number of club members that take an order. To do that, again, you want to be here on your profit and loss report that we're displaying by class. And if we scooch over here, you can see, there we go. There's our wine club sales right there. Take that number and divide that by the number of members who took orders. And that'll get you your average sale for a wine club shipment. Now, in our setup, my recommendation is to put under wine club the sales for your club runs. If your wine club member goes into the tasting room, that becomes a tasting room sale. And if they order some wine off the web, that's an internet sale. I only count the club runs here under the wine club. And that's because you need different resources. If your wine club member goes in the tasting room, well, you're going to need tasting room resources to manage them. Whereas the club itself, as a number, those club runs are very predictable. Whereas whether or not a wine club member is going to show up and go to the tasting room, that's not as predictable. Anyway, I digress. But that's how I use those numbers, which means in order to calculate additional purchases, you're going to need to figure that out some other way through your point of sale program, because in QuickBooks, we only have the number for the shipments. Okay, and coming down, number 23 is describe the percentage of wine sales made through each of the following channels expressed as a percent. So again, this is super easy if you've got your file set up with the Fundamental 5. We already have our profit and loss by class here, so now we just have to drop on the percentage column. So we go to Customize, we go to Change Columns, and I'm going to go for percentage of row, and I'm going to run the report. Now this report's a little bit unwielding, but you can see that you can see my percentage of row percentage numbers, and if I go to the far right, my grand total is 100, which is what I would expect to see. Now, on the Silicon Valley Bank survey, their definition for wholesale is a combination of distributors and wholesalers. So all of your trade accounts are lumped into wholesale. So for my Heavenly Grape winery, they use an FOB class for distribution, and they have a wholesale class for their sales to accounts. So you would need to add these two together to figure out the percentage, but then you would need to then divide that number into what percentage is on premise versus what percentage is off premise. All these other numbers are pretty straightforward. Next question is, what was the annual percentage change in direct consumer sales in 2021 compared to 2020? And they want this number in percentage of cases sold and percentage of change in dollars. Now in desktop, you can run a custom summary report and get both of these pieces of information on one report. In online, your best bet for this is actually to go back to this report here, the sales by product service summary report. They want all of your direct consumer sales channels. So we want to customize this, and we want to, again, select class, but we want to add all of the DTC classes. So in this file, this would be virtual, web, and wine club. I'm going to run that report. So here's my report for last year, and you're going to want to export this to Excel so you can get a grand total of your quantity and hold that number over in Excel. Then run this report again for the year prior. So in my situation, that'll be 2017, but you're going to run this report for the year prior. Your filter is already set. Run that report, export it to Excel, get the total number of your cases, and you're home free, ready to fill in number 24. So there we go. Those were the financial numbers and how to pull them from QuickBooks. When Silicon Valley Bank does their annual State of the Wine Industry survey, there's a lot more numbers that you'll want to pull from QuickBooks for that. But hope that got you started, got you pointed in the right direction. I really encourage you to fill out the survey because there is a wealth of information that is available through the report. And by submitting the survey, you will get a special batch of reports and information that are not available to the folks who only downloaded the report. So there we go. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Cheers.